Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Allow me to begin by quoting Richard Branson. This rapidly changing retail landscape is making virgins of us all. We should be slightly nervous, but yet excited at what's to come. And the future is not what it used to be. And excuse me for quoting a French poet at 8:30 in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning. So yes, the future is no longer 5 years away, 3 years away, a year away. We have consumers shopping with platforms that didn't exist 6 months ago. And the future actually is not about technology, it's about anthropology. It's about people. It's about understanding how people will engage with brands and retailers in the future. It's about Generation C. It's no longer about the standard demographic segmentation. Generation C is all about control. The key demand from future customers is control. It's about interests and behaviors, as I say, not about the standard demographic segmentation anymore. It's about consumers that are constantly connected. They want to collaborate with brands. They want to co-create. They want to be part and want to shape the future of brands and how they engage with them and what part they play in their lives. They want to build and be part of a community with a brand at its center. And they have a conscience. They care about the role that brands play in their lives. So it's not a group, but a way of life. This is a sea change in consumerism, a sea change in shopping. And customers will have the power to choose like never before, with their mobile devices as their remote controls for life. And in this world, brands need to forge deeper emotional connections with customers, shifting from transaction, merely buying and selling, to interaction, and from interaction to intimacy. The holy grail of your customer engagement. How do you get intimate? How does your customer feel intimate to your brand? And stores in this new world have to rethink their roles, where shopping will no longer be about stores, be about stories. In the stores of tomorrow, buying will be outmoded as a sterile activity, and in its place will stand the art of shopping, as Mark Gobay said in his book, Emotional Branding. And as Josh Dijkstra said, purchasing isn't really about the thing itself. A product or service is powerful because of how it connects people to something or someone. Connects. So it's no longer about marcoms, marketing communication. It's about marcons, marketing connection. How do you create and develop emotional connection with your customers? Brand connectedness, as Stefan Orlander said, is about creating ideas that customers want to share. And in his great book, The End of Business as Usual, Brian Solis said, the future of connected consumerism is tied to shared experiences. Through engagement, brands have the ability to steer positive experiences before, during, and very importantly, after the sale. So there's a new consumption paradigm where participation is the new consumption. So in retail, we believe there'll be 4 things that the winners will do. The first is that they'll reinvent convenience. In our increasingly transient lives, we demand immediate response. That's interesting. I will do the rest of the show through interpretive dance. Okay. So I've not been thrown by this. They demand immediate response. They demand services and products when they want them. The just-in-time economy, the just-in-time consumerism. Smart retailers are shortening the purchase path Amazon said recently they want to go from I want that to I bought that in 30 seconds. Shopping spaces, shopping opportunities, brand engagement everywhere along the customer journey, along this increasingly complicated physical and digital customer journey. Pat, are you there? What's happening? Thank you. And this is some really interesting examples, actually, to kind of illustrate what I'm trying to say. At the Hyatt, apparently, you can leave all your clothes at the hotel. They will wash them, iron them, launder them, keep them in your case for you for the next time you arrive. But really interestingly, MakeSpace is a virtual storage space whereby you put your belongings, your clothes and other belongings in a box or in a suitcase. You photograph them, so you've got a record of what they are, and they will deliver them to wherever you want and wherever you're traveling in the world. And what's really interesting is that they have a collaboration with Airbnb. So you'll be able to book accommodation and your luggage and your clothes will be shipped to wherever you are. Just-in-time consumerism. I want what I want, where I want it, when I want it. Are we okay?
What happened?
It just keeps on going dark.
Oh, really? Okay.
It seems to be okay now,
Yeah,
but
I think,
but
were you touching?
no, no, there's nothing. I was just being very eloquent.
Okay. Bear with me 1 second.
No problem. We've got all morning. We went through this about 3 times yesterday.
Can you promise us a dance?
Yeah. As though I wasn't stressed enough. Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? How this idea that increasing demand for just in time, now, I want everything now, when I want it, how I want it. Not only will I want it now, I want it customized and personalized for me in the channel I am, where I am in my journey, physical, digital. I'm flipping from physical to digital every time, every minute. And this is what's really interesting, and it's all being driven by mobile. I read recently, in fact, just the other day, it was really interesting. Google are going to begin to discriminate on searches for companies that have got mobile first sites. So they're really driving mobile. So the idea that and we'll talk about this a bit later, the idea of offering customers this just-in-time, immediate, hyper convenience, and against the other side of the coin, this very, very immersive experience. And that's sort of basically what I'm driving at here. Thank you very much. So we talked about the MakeSpace, the Airbnb. This is interesting. Uber Fresh. You'll be able to, they're trialing it in Santa Monica, but you'll be able to get your driver. So along the bottom, you've got Uber X and Uber, the different taxis. You'll have Uber Fresh, and you'll be able to get your driver to pick up groceries for you and deliver for you. So Uber, don't believe the hype, it's not a taxi company. Uber is completely disrupting logistics. And it's very interesting what they're doing. And this is interesting, a trial by Volvo, whereby you can get your shopping delivered into the boot of your car, redundant space. And Hointer is a completely automized denim brand. You basically have an app and you go into the store, you scan in the code, you understand about the jeans and you learn about them, you choose your size, you go to the changing room, it's dropped through a chute into the changing room, you try it on and you buy it on your mobile app and you walk out, no one in the store. Just in time, when I want it, no service to disrupt me as I want it, but personalized, customized, and immersive into the story of the jean, but through the app. So is it physical? Is it digital? What is it? Is it online, offline? Well, believe me, in a few years' time, we won't be even talking about online and offline, but we'll come to that in a second. So it's about the on-demand economy. And as I was saying just earlier, I think it's polarizing from one-click, ultra hyper convenience, one-click buy. Social media searches will have one-click buy options delivered within an hour, to the other end of the spectrum, fully immersive experiences, which one could argue, and should be a big question mark in the middle, that's where the shops come in. So, that polar opposite, every brand has got to be able to offer those two polar opposite customer experiences. It's all about hyper convenience. The second thing the winners will do is redefine loyalty. Loyalty will no longer be about earn and burn, no longer about discounts. The biggest commodity are deals and discounts. It's going to be about creating digital platforms that are fully immersive, that give you one-to-one engagement with brands, that store your previous purchases, your preferences, your profiles, and that will be the gateway of a brand to your life. That will be the future of engagement as a loyalty program. And I think brands, shopping centres, airports, whatever, will begin to develop digital real estate and physical real estate. And whatever happens in the digital real estate will be mirrored. And I think that's what's really interesting about loyalty. And part of loyalty and these digital platforms and a part of creating real immersion is gamification. How you gamify, and I don't mean building games, but how you use the philosophy of gaming and gamification to create real immersion and interest. And Nudie Jeans have, in fact, just round the corner here, to open their new store, creating an offer whereby you can take your jeans back, you can get them repaired for free anytime, and they're trying to build a kind of community, an engagement, an immersion into their brand, by creating not just the sale, but it's the stuff that happens after the sale. So loyalty is about showing and telling, not buying and selling, a shift from buying and selling to showing and telling. Lip Lab, really interesting. You can be part of the whole immersion of making your lipstick to your skin type, to your preferences and your colours, and understand how it's made, and really immerse yourself in the whole story. Loyalty is a shift from merchandise to mementos. How do you create a memory of the experience? How do you customise and personalise a product or service to create a memento which really leads to true loyalty? And Magnum are doing that with Unilever about customising Magnum bars. And loyalty is a shift from product to platform. The ecosystem, the service system that happens around the artifact, the stories around the artifact. And Nike, of course, do that really, really well. Nike are no longer a retailer, manufacturer of trainers and apparel. They are a provider of customised, personalised experience around health and well-being. So, engage and involve, not discount and transact, as John Medina said. The third thing the winners will do is reimagine the experience. Forget storytelling, this is about story doing. More and more brands are created what we're calling branded habitats, fully immersive environments. That transaction and buying and selling is not necessarily at the heart of the offer. These kind of brands are demanding different types of spaces, different types of lease arrangements. These are real challenges for real estate owners. They're demanding different types of engagement. They're having different types of engagement with their customers. And the core and the notion of the shop at its core is actually not about transaction. The transaction is happening somewhere else. Curated destinations, this is really interesting. Anthropology, Urban Outfitters, the same group, they're planning a kind of a destination, a village, with their different brands, with food and beverage, with other partner brands, creating a whole destination around the ethos and the essence and the values of their brand. And something we're calling the consumer mixologist. Consumers more and more demand to be part of the process. In this case, Fragrance Lab, learning about fragrance, looking at the fragrance in terms of the aromas and your skin types and what part they play in your lives. And a newer kind of idea is this idea of brand squatting, whether one brand takes space or time in another brand. Jigsaw have just doing that now, looking at subletting their, if you like, their stores, but to partners, strategic partners that could really enhance and bring a different type of experience to a standard, box with shelves and the tills in it. This is about immersion, it's about sociability, about learning, creating a hub, creating a part of being, part of something which is the brand is at its centre. And indeed, pure players are looking at different models. They again are challenging and disrupting the idea of a shop, where for them, it's about service driven but home delivered. Their model of transaction is online. Their model is about delivery. Their shop is used for a completely different purpose. But again, they're not in the game of signing 5-10-year leases in concrete boxes with a glass front. They want other types of spaces, other types of experiences. And of course, at the heart of all this is the collect. Collect up to now has been considered as a administrative process. I was recently in De Bijenhof in Amsterdam, and I wanted to go and see where I would collect goods, and it's in the basement at the back of the store on a hole in the wall. And I could have ordered something for 200 euros or 2,000 euros, and I'm going into a hole in the wall in the basement. The collect experience in the future will be at the heart of the store. The collect experience will be where there's brands, there's experiences, food and beverage. This will be really at the heart. Part of it. The other end of the spectrum, it will be a 24-hour locker in the shop front. But the collect ecosystem is one thing that all retailers must think about in terms of offering. And Westfield are beginning to sort of look at different parts and different types of select. And the Internet of Things is quite interesting in terms of how it's going to affect the experience in store. This is one of my favourites. It's Wine M. Wine M is a wine brand, and they have an app, and the app is a food app. And you walk in the store, you select what you want to eat that night, and the mobile device connects with this, which is a display in the store, and illuminates the wine that you choose that matches the food that you've chosen. But what's really interesting, it's not just about that. The app then goes on to give you the recipe, how you cook it, give you the grape varieties, and all the information on the wine. Physical, digital, flipping from mobile digital to physical shop. There is no distinction between online, offline. You buy it online, you can buy it in the shop. That's real integration of fantastic online, digital, physical experiences. I'd really like this quote. Engage people in the real world in a different way. It finds a new meaning for space. So how can we really use digital to find new meanings for space? And we'll talk about that with Bill a bit later, about how that may affect our public spaces and the digitization of public spaces and high streets. It's quite interesting. But this is kind of, I suppose, a manifestation of that quote. This is Yuhadian. It's a Chinese retailer, a multi-category retailer. They have 1,000 stores, but they're all augmented, digital. And they're all geolocated. So they are in a specific location in the street, in the mall. And you only find those locations, while I finish this story, Pat hopefully is going to repair this. We only find those locations, most of those locations, so they're digital, geolocated in the street. You point your mobile phone and you find it. So you've got to know where they are and find them. But most of them are located in the competitor shop fronts. So you point it and you can see the price you get, or whatever's on sale in the shop. I mean, what does that mean? What is real estate? What are high streets? What are shops? I think it's a trial, it's interesting, but I think it signals something. If we want a wake-up call, maybe that's really, really important. So the future of stores, as I said, is not about only technology. It's not about high tech only, but high touch. It's bringing technology to a store, and Jonathan will talk a lot more about this much more eloquently than I can, but really kind of fantastic immersive physical experiences. Immersive experiences. The bottom one here, Chrysler, you can put your augmented reality glasses on and see how the car is actually made. You immerse yourself in the making and the manufacturing process. And Reebok has exercise rooms that the whole room, all the walls have got imagery of a different mood, a different scene to really create immersive experiences. So my message for experience and the winners will be think digital, but deliver analog, deliver fantastic physical analog experiences. And the fourth thing that the winners will do is reposition value. What is value? How do you define value? What are customers' ideas of value in the future? Well, people no longer just want things. They seek meanings. They seek immersive experiences, learnings. Consumers have an increasing thirst for knowledge and learning. As we increasingly live wired digital lives, we crave compensatory human contact and intimate experiences. There's a thirst for authenticity, a growth in markets, and how markets can begin to be part of a mainstream shopping centres. People and customers want the unexpected, the unknown, the ephemeral, constantly changing, but explosion in pop-ups, and the imperfect. There's a growth in boot sales, in vintage stores, in nostalgia, in flea markets. This can't be a coincidence. Growth, explosion in museums and art galleries. Is this a consequence of boring retail, boring brands? People are demanding a shift from manufacture to making. They want to see how things are made, know how things are made. There's an ethical part of this as well. This is one of my favorites. This is our vodka. So the vodka is made in different cities using local ingredients. And then you create a shop, our Detroit or our Berlin. Really interesting. But it's Pernod Ricard. So shops where you can see behind the brand, the transparency. Shifting from back of house to front of house. What's happening? What are the stuff happening behind the brand? How can we bring it to the front of house? How can we bring it to our customer experiences? How can we link closer, forge closer connection, closer relationships between the creator, manufacturer, the craftsperson, the designer, the visionary, to the customer? That's true connection. Because customers are abandoning ubiquity. They demand personalization and customization. Whether that's digital customization through understanding your profile or physical. What our sales are like this, what our sales associates are amazing at doing, and what they love spending time on is consulting and helping customers. We can let the robots answer questions like, where's the hammer? And on that, Orchard Supply have a robot in their store that you go into a display, you say hammer, and you follow the robot to the hammer displays or to wherever you want. And a Loft Hotel have a little robot that will deliver bottles of water or drink to your hotel room. So we don't need people doing stuff like that. We need people to connect with customers. And other bits of interesting technology is changing rooms that measure and scan your body size. And part of the new value is a new way of buying, a new way of transacting. Pat, thank you. Do you know a drill in the UK is used for an average of 6 minutes in its life? 29% of British households have a single occupant. Households, flats, dwellings are getting ever smaller, ever increasing urbanisation. We have less space for our stuff, less space to do the stuff we normally did in our homes. There's a move from an asset-heavy to an asset-light existence that presents significant opportunities for the sharing economy. Access is the new purchase. Whether it's bag borrowers still, these are luxury brands, luxury products that you can hire online and not actually own, not actually have that fixed asset, if you like. Just-in-time consumerism, on-demand consumerism, whenever you want it. Individual ownership to shared access. Social media really is what fundamentally alters everything. It makes everything visible, everything shareable. So we can begin to share what we buy, share the skills, share the knowledge, which builds more communities around the brands. That's true connection. So what brands, if you're a retailer, if you're a brand, do you have on your board meeting agenda for the next 5-year strategy? What are you doing about shared economy? What are you doing about people who are increasingly urbanised, decreasing in their dwelling size, increasingly want less stuff? It's not an accident that self-storage is growing at 10, 15% a year. In the States, here, yellow boxes everywhere. We've got too much stuff. Apparently £429 on average that we have stashed in our attics of stuff that we never look at, never use. These things are beginning to be driven by societal changes. Toolpool is another community-based sharing economy brand that again makes everything visible, not just the product visible, but the sharing of the skills and the knowledge and the experience. So we're creating real sociability around brands. And this is the killer. Every product and service that can be shared will be shared. Mark Zuckerberg. And I love this. The new status symbol isn't what you own, it's what you're smart enough not to own. What you're smart enough not to own. So really value, customers are demanding value and values and what part brands play in their lives. And let's talk a bit about big data. We can find out anything in a shop now, gesture recognition, whether you're smiling, whether you buy something, whether you pick something up and put it down, how long you hold it. We have every conceivable bit of information, your profile, your facial expressions. We can find everything out about how you respond to brands in stores and how you engage. And we can manage your 3 Ps, your profile, your personal history, and your preferences. And I think that's increasingly important, and it's very critical, and all brands and all retailers are jumping on that very importantly. But being Portland, we thought we'd better question that and what effect that may have. So everything is beginning to become predicted. Everything is beginning to be based on precedent. I go on Amazon, I bought something, and do I really want to read another book that's similar? I've read 6 books about woodlands. Do I really want to read a 7th? I've got other interests, you know. So the datafication, the quantification of everything. Constant measuring is engineering the enchantment out of shopping. It's killing the surprise, or at least it has the danger of killing the surprise. Let's start creating things that are, and experiences that are more serendipitous. Bring back the magic. There's a growth in this idea of secret experiences that you find out about. At the end of the day, life is not an algorithm. And the future of retail is live, whether that's about events, whether it's about learning, demonstrations, classes, really kind of retail in real context of people's lives. Whether it's about media brands, broadcast brands taking retail space. Performance, entertainment, sociability, conviviality, building clubs. Or whether it's about curating fantastic experiences on a monthly basis, changing, designing stores that are flexible and fluid and programmable. The future of retail is not in a box with a glass front, believe me. It's about soft space, programmable space. It's about store sets like stage sets. And part of that is ritualization. Branding is no longer about communications and logos and advertising. It's about rituals. How do you create rituals that are not about instruction, they're about real involvement, real engagement and loyalty. T2 is a wonderful tea brand that has fantastic rituals literally around the corner. I urge you to walk up Redchurch Street. There's some fantastic opportunities to see some of these trends in action, albeit at a small scale, but these are the flags for the future. These are your Body Shop in Brighton 30 years ago. You know, we call it ritualtainment at Portland. It's a small step from ritualizing behavior to true passion. And part of ritualization is we've developed this idea of the 6 Ps and how you can create rituals using the 6 Ps. Engagement. What's your welcome ritual? How do you create a ritual for welcoming your customers? What's your ritual about teaching them something about the thing that you're selling? How do you create entertainment in your store? What is that ritual? Is there a ritual around explaining to them the end use? Getting them involved in what use does this thing have in your life? How do you make it easy? Is it delivered? Are you collecting? Is it online? Have you got an app? Is it gift wrapped? And very, very importantly, how do you make it personal? How do you personalize this? The personalization ritual is the most important one. So what we do, as we say, people and places, not buildings and spaces, it's about designing experiences, not just architecture. The days of the prettier shop, the days of the shinier shop strategy are over. So become a story owner rather than a product owner. And create shoppable stories. Co-create your story with your customers. Social media is not a broadcast channel, it's a dialogue channel. The newest currency behind marketing is not money, it's customers' social reach. Do you know Twitter's fastest growing demographic between 12 and 13 was the 55 to 64-year-olds? That's Twitter. Encourage your customers to narrate your story. Think voiceful, not just footfall. To connect to the connected consumer, a brand must be part of the community. You cannot message your way to relevance. The days of just marcoms are over. The days of messaging and communication are over. The customer wants to feel like the protagonist, the hero of your brand story, as opposed to the victim of your campaign. And as Mariam Saltzman said, this is the era of the surprising, the spontaneous, the unplanned, and the serendipitous. Create wonderful, serendipitous, happy coincidences. serendipitous experiences. Shops must be serendipity machines. That's the future. That's a new notion of the store. That's the wake-up call. How do you bring serendipity? How do you plan serendipity? That's oxymoron. How do you plan a coincidence? Well, you've got to through your rituals. So forget about sales per square meter. I'm being facetious. Of course, don't forget about that. But it's about ideas per square meter, engagement, senses. How many surprises per square meter do you have in your shopping centre? Or is it the same? Every time I walk in, I see a bench with some flowers and a marble floor and slightly smelly toilets. What's your toilet ritual? How many delight? How many smiles do you have per square meter? Can you measure them? Well, we can measure them. The metrics have changed. And mapping that path to purchase, the increasingly complicated customer journey is what is the challenge. It's not about a system of channels. I've never heard anyone say, I'm going omni-channel shopping. It's a customer-centered, personalized service ecosystem. It's a shift from omni-channel to omni-service. What is your service proposition in your store, on your app, in your pop-up, in your events? What are the types of service, types of message, types of tone of voice you have with your customers? And mobile connectivity is the glue that binds retail channels to create seamless shopping. It's the mobile connectivity to allow you to compete for the moment in this on-demand, just-in-time consumerism. Consumers are channel agnostic. They're not going to care about whether it's online, offline. They just want their stuff now and how they want it. It's about in line with their lives, in line with their requirements, in line with their network, in line with their whole emotional connection to your brand. So to allow you to emotionally connect with customers, it's no longer enough to do slightly better than before. Future success will be determined by rethinking and reimagining. The days of the shinier shop strategy are over. To allow you to future-proof your business. That's the business we're in. We're in the business of future-proofing. To allow you to rethink the notion of your shop, which is going to be like this. Future shops will speak like a magazine, will change like a gallery, will sell like a shop, will share like an app, and will build loyalty like a club. That is the summary of the new notion of the shop. That is the wake-up call. That is AFTERSHOP. So do and learn, don't wait and see. Do something, fail successfully, do and learn, don't wait and see. Because if you want to be 100% sure, you'll be 100% late. And in future, there'll only be two types of business, the quick and the dead. Thank you very much.